everybody, this is Christine with Cocoa Daisy, and I am going to share with you a bunch of ideas and tips and hopefully some wonderful inspiration on how to use these stamp sets from our Daisy Fields collection. That's our September collection, and that was a collaboration we did with Lanú's Pots, and the artwork is absolutely adorable. So we actually have 3 stamp sets this month. We have the one for the Traveler's Notebook Memory Keeping Kit and the Modern Memory Keeping Kit. And I apologize, all I have to show you, I'm doing this video a little early, so I only have the samples to show you. Obviously, be watching the website on reveal on the 28th, and you can see them in their regular condition, not my inky, messy condition. So we have those 2. So now those each come in the kits, as well as if you subscribe to the stamp subscription, then you get both of these, okay? We are continuing on with the theme here, which we're gonna switch this up just a little bit. I believe it's next month where we won't have a box. We'll still have the things that you can use in the box. I figure we've given you a lot of the boxes and a few other items. So it just kind of switches things up. It continues on with the theme, but then it also adds a few other things for those of you that don't want a box every time. So that's what's changing in October, but it will have some of the same items that you can stack in there. And then we have a 3rd stamp set, and that is the adorable artwork from the collection. You have Daisy the kitty, the little mouse, there's a ladybug, a bumblebee, and then some of the beautiful flowers, and then the wheat as well. There's a cute little book too. So I'm gonna go through these, and and let me show you the inks that I picked out. One thing I wanted to mention, I did not have, so if you look at the color palette is so beautiful. I think it's a great color palette for the end of summer going into fall. I love the little touch of lavender. Now, a lot of you know I'm not a big purple person. However, that little touch of lavender makes such a unique, beautiful color palette. I do not have any, I don't own any purple ink. So if I had, I would have used it in the samples, but I just wanted to point this out to you because a lavender purple or a pale purple would be beautiful with the other colors that I'm going to show you. So I just wanted to point that out. So of course my black, I used the VersaFine. I used a navy from the Stamp Market, leafy from the Stamp Market. I did Sunshine from the Stamp Market. I did Tiara from the Catherine Pooler. I did the Daffodil Delight from Stampin' Up. And then Memories, it's just a nice brown. And then the Blush Pink from the Stamp Market. And then from Memento, I have a Dandelion and a Summer Sky. So you probably won't be able to tell a whole lot of difference in the yellows, except maybe for right here. But there's such a great range of warm yellows in here that I wanted to have a couple of them. So we're going to start with the stamp set from the Modern Memory Keeping Kit, and that is this one here. So the first thing is this fun little hexagon. And there's a lot of different ways that you can layer that. You can create a border like this. You could create an entire background. Here I did it in a very subtle ombre effect. This one, you can layer it behind any of the sayings. It works really well that way. And then, so here you see I did it in blue. I did it in the yellow. There is also a tiny little hexagon right there, and that actually fits perfectly over top of this one. So if you wanted to stamp it over all of them, you could in a contrasting color like I did here with the brown, or if you wanted to do it just a couple of them. And of course that little one, if you wanted to keep stamping it, you could make little borders. You could extend some of the little honeycombs. One of the things I wanted to mention about the honeycomb, the way that that is set up, is that when you stamp it and then repeat stamp it, it's meant to continue the pattern. So it will continue the pattern by the way that it's set up. So you can see that I did that here, so it creates one whole seamless background or pattern. So you can see it here, I turned it and ran it this way. So a lot of different ways that you can layer the sayings on here. You have fall favorites, last days of summer, and best day ever. So the last days of summer, I layered that with the adorable Daisy. And then I did last days of summer with the wheat, which is really pretty as well. And then the fall I did that here over the honeycomb as well. The fall favorites, I did that with the Daisy. I did that over this hexagon, which I'll go over in just a minute, and then added the wheat underneath. I ran the wheat up the side. I layered that over the little honeycomb pattern. And then that wheat sprig, as I've shown before with a lot of those things, if you turn it like that, then you can get kind of a neat little, almost like a border under it. And then the fall favorites, the same thing. Fall favorites and last days of summer, kind of the same idea. It's a saying, so you can layer it with the Daisy or with the wheat. The best day ever, same idea with the Daisy or with the wheat. Now, one of my favorite stamps on here, and we've had these a couple times, and I love using these definition stamps. The reason I like to use them is they're so great for layering. So here I have just that stamp in black with the Daisy, and that's beautiful, just like that. But you could layer it in black over the honeycomb. But I also love how it creates this great pattern behind your other more bold stamping. So if you do that in a lighter color, if you're doing, in fact, I'm going to grab those in a minute. If you're doing stamping in your memory planner or on a tag or anything like that, it's really neat how you can cover up an entire background and it becomes a pattern. And I love that with type. I love to do that with type. So you can see here, I did that here with the best day ever. I did fall favorites with the wheat along the side of it as well. And then the hexagon. So the hexagon, there are three parts. There's the outline, there's just the dotted lines, and then there's the half a hexagon. And so what you can do is you can do any of them separately or together. So you can see here where I've done the outline, just the line, and then one hexagon. You can flip it and do it in another color. You can build it that way. You can put all three of them together like I did here with the outline, flipped it, did it in two colors, and then I did it with the dotted line over top. So you can build that and use that however you want to make patterns, to lay behind things. Here I stamped the little daisy over top. I thought that was cute. And then you could even cut these out. That's the other thing I want to mention. So any of these that are an image, like the daisy, the hexagon, or any of these, you can turn into die cuts. So you stamp them and then cut them out, and you can use them over and over and over again, which is super, super cool. I want to grab what I did with some of the stamping. So on here, I just used the best day ever. This is one of the layouts that I did using the Modern Memory Keeping Kit. I just stamped the best day ever on there. And then I made, and if you look on our channel, I will go through these layouts and talk about them. But I did do a little bit of stamping. Let's see if I can find it in the mini album that I created. So I love using just those little sayings and headers. So I put those in there. There's another one that I stamped. There I used the little cozy and stamped it on there. There's another one. This one I did the best day ever again. The fall favorites. So they're just nice to add a little something. So that's the mini album that I did. So that is using the Modern Memory Keeping Kit stamp set. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you the Traveler's Notebook Memory Keeping Kit stamp set, and that is this one here. And again, as I mentioned, it's continuing on with this theme for September. So I loved using the brown instead of the black. I did it in one example here, but I really liked using the brown for that grid or that box. And then the combination of the yellow with the brown with the blush pink I thought was so pretty. And so I just layered that. I used a roller date stamp, which if you don't have one, don't worry. I'm going to give you a little hint. There's one coming up for Cocoa Daisy. And then, those little grids, you can intermix those however you want. So here you can see where I put the September at the top, added one of the bolder sayings there, and then the little checks box saying in one of the other ones. So you can see how you can mix those up however you want. I added the daisy in the corner here. I layered the daisy under the month number. Here I have just the daisy and the cute little bumblebee and his little flying tail. Or you can skip the box altogether and just create some titles or headers this way. So I have the number 9, September, and Hello Fall. I did the September with the little bumblebee. I layered that adorable daisy with Hello Fall or Fall Memories and added the little bumblebee. Here I just stamped a row of the daisies, and you can easily color these in. This one I colored in with a colored pencil. You could do watercolors, you could do markers, even highlighters, you know, like brush highlighters, you could color those in. And then I added the little bumblebee. But you could make as long a border as you want. You could fill a whole page with them. Here I did kind of a circle and then added the September over top. And then this one, I wanted to show you how there's a small little dotted line in here, and that you can stamp and use for your journaling if you wanted to. So you can see that I did that here. So I layered the September with the daisy behind it, and then I repeated that dotted border for a stamp for journaling. The other thing I wanted to mention, anything like that that's more on the thin side, you can manipulate that on your stamp block and curve it, which is what I did here. So I made a longer little flying tail for the bumblebee. So that's something you can do with that as well. And because they do move around, the easiest way to get a nice straight line with that is to use a stamping block that has a grid pattern on it, because then you know that it's laying straight. And then when you stamp it, you know it won't be curved, because sometimes those like that are kind of hard to get to lay perfectly straight. So a grid stamping block is a great way to use those. And then I want to show you, so I want to show you how I used it on this one. I just went all black because I had a lot of color going on my layout. And I went back, and this is like I had mentioned before, it's a fun way to use the different borders, the different blocks, or the different grids, different things you can call them, each month with past month's numbers. So that's what I did here. I printed these items. I added the roller date stamp. The puffy alphas, I used the 6 because this is in June from previous one, but then I used the grid and the snapshot from the current one. All right, now if I mix the two, I got lots of examples for you. So if I mix the two stamp sets together, these are some of the things that I can do. So I added the grid, I used the fall favorites instead of September, I added the cozy underneath, the best day ever, and then I used one of those little checkbox sayings. This one I used best day ever with fall memories, and then had the honeycomb behind it. Same thing here. This is just a nice subtle little extra thing that you could add to a layout on a tag or something, and I just like that. It's just simple, but it's so pretty. There's 2 daisies, so each set has a daisy, and you can combine them and create this really pretty kind of just collage of daisies. The September with the wheat, I added the wheat to the block with the number for the month, September, and then best day ever. And then this one, I layered that honeycomb with last days of summer over it. That turned out really pretty. And I love this combination, the pink and the brown, the September over top of the cozy. I think that's really, really cute. And then you could stamp September and then layer a bunch of the sayings. And you could make a border this way as well. So you could stamp September and then just keep repeating the other sayings all the way down, which would be neat too. I stamped the cozy over the larger daisy, added the little bumblebee. And then here's an example of creating this background with those hexagons and then layering the word September over top of it. So those are some ways that you can combine the two stamp sets and use them together if you get both of them. Now, we are going to move on. Oh my goodness, these are so, so, so cute. To the little critters. Now, what I did over here is I just stamped them all in black just so that you could see them. They are so fun, and the detail is just amazing. The one thing I will mention is the daisy stamp. When you look at it on your stamping block, it will look right side up. As you can see right here, I ended up stamping it upside down. So stamp it on a scrap piece of paper before you stamp it on your finished project, just to make sure that you have it right side up, because it will look right side up on your stamp block, but just test it, because I did them upside down. So, I mean, they look fine, but you want them right side up, not upside down. So there's a bunch of different flowers on here. There's a cone flower, there's a dahlia, there's a couple daisies, and then this right here is a stem. So you can create whatever kind of little bouquet that you want. So you could stamp a bunch of the flowers and add the stem to it. You can do just a single one, which is absolutely adorable. I love that. So that's what that little piece is. That's the stem for the flowers. The sunflower has its own stem, and that's beautiful as well. And you can make, like I said, you could make a complete little bouquet with the wheat, with the flowers and the sunflower. And my thought is, if you did that, if you kind of stamped them close together, I would run a piece of string or twine or ribbon through. I would stamp it on a card. This would make a beautiful card. And then run a piece of ribbon or twine through and tie it, and then put a little bow on the front of the card with that. I think that would be so pretty. And you could use that with the word cozy, or the fall favorites, or something like that, that then you could send out. I just think that'd be an adorable card to do that way. And then, of course, we have our cute little mouse, and he is sleeping here. You see his little cute little behind right here, and here he's kind of looking. He looks a little worried to me because I think it's the kitty cat. So there's a number of different ways that you can use the little mouse. You can stack him on the book. So there is this cute little book stamp. So he's sleeping on the book. You can layer him over here with the book and the word cozy. I think that's cute. So there's a lot of different ways you can use the little sleepy mouse. You can use the sleepy mouse next to the little kitty that looks like he's gonna bounce. And we have named the kitty Daisy. And there's another stamp of Daisy here. And I love this one because it looks like he's poking over the edge of something. And so I'll show you a couple of ideas that I did with him doing that. There's a little trick to how you stamp and not have the other lines go through. I'll show you that in a minute. And then, of course, we have a great little ladybug and a bumblebee. And then this is one of my favorites, this little bit of artwork that are the little daisies kind of look like they're flowing on the air. And this is the same artwork that is actually on the pen for this month in our Daisy Fields collection. So if you combine some of all of the stamp sets together, these are some things that you can do. I did those little daisies with the word September. I did the grid with the month and then our little kitty. And I'm going to show you a technique in a minute, because if you look, so you have the grid. I did last days of summer with Hello Fall and then the little mouse. Now when you stamp all of this and then you stamp him on top, you see how the line goes through? It's not a big deal, but if you want him to look like like that line doesn't go through, which would be the same thing that would happen with the kitty. And actually I'm gonna peel this off. So a couple different ways you can do this. So if you look, you can see how that line goes through and it just doesn't look as good. So what you can do, and I did the same thing here because if I had stamped him on here, then the book would go through him. So what you could do, as I did here, is you stamp them on a scrap piece of paper, cut them out, and then stick them over top. That's a super easy way to do it. There's another way I'm going to show on the other sheet where you use this cutout as a mask. So I'm going to show you that next. So what you do is you stamp those and then cut them out. So you have the little mouse and I have the little kitty. So these become a mask. So if you don't want to have to cut them out and use them as a die cut, if you'd rather have everything flat and stamped, and if you're doing a bunch of them, then this is an easy way to do it, is to just cut out one and use it as a mask. So what I did is I figured out where I was going to stamp my cozy. I laid the mask down like that. I stamped the word cozy right over top of him. Then when you pull it up, it leaves that space open where he will go. And then I did the same thing with the book for the mouse. So you can see where I laid him down, I stamped the book over top of him, and then you pick it up, and then you have this open space to then go ahead and stamp the mouse or the kitty in that space. And it leaves that negative area so you can see the type has gone through him. You don't see that. And so it looks layered just right. It doesn't stamp over top of it. So that's a fun way of using those as masks. A couple other things that I did as far as layering. So here I did the little daisy with our little mouse and then our little kitty. And he looks a little worried because I think the kitty's gonna pounce on him. And then I loved just this, I think is so simple, but it's so pretty, is to just have a flower with a few of the sayings layered next to it. So if you have a narrow area, you could do the fall favorites on top of the cone flower. The daisy here with the books next to it, last days of summer. If you're a big reader, I think that's wonderful because so many people like to read in the summer. September with cozy with the cone flower, the sunflower with the last days of September or of summer. And then the September I ran sideways, and there are 2 wheat sizes. So in this set, there's a larger wheat. In this one, there's a smaller one. So you can, of course, layer those together too. And then stack the books with a saying in between. And then I added that pretty little flowing daisy with cozy, the flowing daisy with the fall favorites here. And this one turned out really cute too, the last days of summer with the little sleeping mouse. So lots and lots of ideas. I mean, I could have kept going and going and going with all of these, but that gives you at least kind of a start and a way that you can use them. This set is a la carte. This is not in any of the kits that we offer for this month. It's a separate purchase. There's a limited number of those, so get them while you can. Like I said, they're not in any particular kit. So that is a little peek at all of the adorable stamps we have this month. I hope I gave you some ideas, and I hope you have a lot of fun layering.